You're listening to Broncos for Breakfast with Nick Kendell and Scott Kennedy. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all things Broncos. Good morning, Broncos country.
All right. We got...
Nick, I am showing go live, and we got some regulars pop in. I see EJ, I see Jeremy, I see US Dave. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? What's happened since we last saw you? No, just kidding. When Nick and I got off the show on Tuesday, we mentioned something like, what we want to talk about. I said, something's going to happen in the next 48 hours that will dominate the news, and sure enough, this is national news. When an NFL team names a starting quarterback, it becomes national news. So actually here in Atlanta, Drew Lock was trending on my Twitter profile. So it was definitely national news. I stopped in last night on the Mile High Huddle broadcast, and the reaction there, it surprised me a little bit. It really did, Nick. It was rage. It was outrage that Vic Fangio could possibly choose Teddy Bridgewater over Drew Lock. And I have to tell you, the reaction, I was shocked. It was shocking to me. I was actually a little nervous. I'm like, am I allowed to come in here and be positive about Teddy Bridgewater? I think our morning show will be okay. What do you think? Should we put a toe in the water first?
I think people are going to feel however they feel, right? The fan is short for fanatic. So we have some fanaticism here when it comes to the quarterback decision. And I think a lot of people, it was a reaction to the likely reality that what this means for the Broncos long term. And it means right back in the same place, probably, less than a year from now, back in the quarterback market, looking for a quarterback. So a lot of people were hoping that maybe Drew Lock could be the guy. He was given ample opportunity. I know a lot of people are saying, it's only 18 games. Most guys don't get 18 games. Even second-round picks, they don't get 18 games. And he had a chance this offseason. Again, the Broncos could have brought in a different veteran that could have drafted a quarterback. They gave Drew Lock a chance.
Well, and here's the thing I want to hesitate with, Nick, is we're talking about this in the past tense, and we're using phrases like gave and had. It ain't over.
No, it's not.
We've been saying that from the beginning. This quarterback competition is not going to end. Every single broadcast that we've come in here and talked about quarterbacks, we've said the same thing. This is not going to stop. First week of the year, second week of the year, unless someone goes out and wins 4 or 5 in a row with 12 touchdowns and an interception and just absolutely owns the job. I'm not sure either of these quarterbacks are capable of having a run like that. History shows if it's going to be one of them, it will be more than likely be Teddy Bridgewater, who is the more consistent of the two. But this quarterback competition, I don't think it's over for Drew Lock, personally.
No, it's not. And Teddy's had injuries. This team could, get off the wrong foot, or you have a couple games where Teddy's out. So I don't think it's time to put Drew Lock completely to bed. However, I do think that his chances to be the team's franchise quarterback long-term, they had to have taken a hit, right? This is how they view him. He wasn't good enough to beat Teddy. And with how some people in Broncos country view Teddy, that probably speaks some volumes as well as to how the Broncos view Lock. But I honestly think it's not about Lock. It's about Teddy. It should be about Teddy Bridgewater. You've talked about it on here ample times. Teddy is an incredible leader. People love him. People gravitate towards him. People make a lot of excuses for Lock's struggles last year, but if you look at any player, you could honestly dig down and make excuses for why they haven't performed. You do that with Teddy as well. He almost had his goddamn leg amputated for that injury. Went to the Saints, was really good, but obviously they're going to go back to Drew Brees, Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame, one of the best ever. And the first time he's really kind of underwhelmed to expectations was his Carolina team, but he had a leg injury. That first 10 weeks, he was pretty darn good. He was a top 16 quarterback. And then after the leg injury, he fell off. So, there's reason to be cautiously optimistic about Teddy Bridgewater and this team. And for me, again, it's not as much, and it never was as much about the quarterbacks for this team. It's about what's around the quarterbacks. This team is built up to have the quarterback. You just need a Rajon Rondo. You don't need a Russell Westbrook. You don't need a Seth Curry. You don't need Damian Lillard. You need Rajon Rondo with the Celtics. Get the ball to Paul Pierce. Get the ball to Kevin Garnett. Get the ball to Ray Allen, and good things can happen.
Well, and the hard part about this conversation right now, I feel like, is trying to compare Teddy with Drew last year, because all of the discussions are completely forgetting Drew last year. They're like, well, we hope this is what he's going to be like. He should progress in this direction, and he's got the ability to do all this stuff. So you can't really say, well, they're talking about Teddy dink and dunk Bridgewater. I'm like, his average yards per completion, not just attempt, was going to be higher because he's more accurate, but per completion wasn't that far off from Drew Lock last year. No. But then you throw that out. Then you get into the voodoo of this. Well, we're not comparing Drew Lock this year to Drew Lock last year, because Drew Lock last year we know wasn't good enough. And, I almost look at this a little bit like, let's take a look and say this could be a placeholder. We've talked about Drew Lock's inexperience. We've talked about not having a preseason. Well, this is his first preseason. Maybe he's not ready. Maybe this is a way to get him some extra time in a low pressure situation where he could still take over down the road. We've seen it before, right?
Yep.
I don't know if that's the case. And we said this. The first thing we said if Teddy Bridgewater is a quarterback of this team, wins the job outright, and is a quarterback of this team, then the Broncos are going to have a new starter in 2023. They probably draft a guy or get a guy in free agent in 2022, unless they can go out and get in. And we can talk about that too. Unless you go out and get a big free agent or make a blockbuster trade for a top end starter, Aaron Rodgers or Matt Ryan, then Teddy keeps the room warm in 2022 for whoever's going to be your starter in 2023 or someone along those lines. And I think that is what is as discouraging for Broncos fans as anything. It's like, man, we want this position sorted, and this is just more question marks.
Treading water.
What we've asked before, what we said before about the preseason games is the questions that have been asked of the quarterbacks thus far have been answered flying colors. But there's more questions. There's a lot of big questions to come once we start playing games.
Yep, and I want to put a pin in that real quick because we got to say hello to everybody. This is obviously Broncos for Breakfast. You guys can follow Scott and myself on Twitter, Scott at Scout Kennedy, and myself at Nick Kendall MHH. You can also, while you guys are over on Twitter, follow us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Make sure you guys go click those. You can see all the latest content that's coming on there, not only live streams, but articles galore, a lot of content producers there. So a lot of good stuff and a lot of different flavors of ice cream, right? You have some people that are, very upset about Drew Lock, probably writing some stuff about that. They have some people who are just excited about the defense and get the ball rolling for some competitive football. Gosh, I can't even remember the last time the Broncos played competitive football beyond Halloween. So I think we're going that direction this year. Let's get that. I'm excited about that. I'm trying to be positive here. If you guys are over on Facebook, click those thumbs up. We got the wow react coming in from Tim Durr. We got a care react coming in from DeAndre Weatherspoon. And we have some hearts coming in. Holden Adams, Kareem Gomez, Gary Leeds Palmer, Greg Smith, Dave Glassman, and some likes from Travis Weber, David Marker, Leroy Williams, Rob Williams, and Walter Doser. Oh, another like coming in there. Victor Rios. Thank you guys very much. While you're over there on Facebook, after you click the thumbs up, make sure you head on over to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, as well as facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Become a supporter. Join in the conversation there. If you are, raging against the machine that is the Broncos and Vic Fangio, let it be known. Voice your comments. You're going to find some people who share an opinion with you there. Or if you're somebody who's saying, let's give Teddy a chance. This is going to be a fun team this year. They got great weapons, could have a top 3 defense. All Teddy has to do is get the ball to playmakers and good things can happen. Go voice your opinion. If you guys are joining us on Facebook today, please subscribe, like, and share. Also go to youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. If you guys have not done so yet, Scott has a lot of good content there. A lot of good videos for your football fans in general. So
I've been adding some of our stuff, Nick. Just good. some of the quick takes that we have on there. Just cross promote the show a little bit, and sometimes it's easier to take little bites of Broncos for breakfast instead of the whole buffet. Some people might just like a little snack in the morning to get their day going.
An espresso, if you will, something a little caffeinated, a little.
Yeah, I go for the big 20 ounce.
Yeah, me too. I make half a pot every morning, and I feel pretty good after that.
I needed this mug last night. Going into the Mile High Huddle chat, it was ugly, man. It was ugly. It was silly.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that we can have a little bit calmer heads prevailing here and have a real discussion. Last night, everybody was obviously high emotion, And obviously with Chad and Zach, they're very much pulling for Drew Lock, and they've had the people who have circled that wagon with them. So, that was lashing out last night. And I think that was, they're upset, and that was an emotional response. But I think we're all going to get back on the same page here and hopefully focus on the common enemy that will be the New York Giants coming up here soon. But let's say hello to the chat. We got Jeremy Sean coming in here. Good morning, fellows. Well, kind of good, I guess. About 3-yard gain on a check down. Good. Is that 3 air yards with room to run afterwards? Because I don't know if you remember the 2013 offense or the many years of Tom Brady with the Patriots.
I would say Tom Brady's made a living on that.
I mean, that's enough to get the GOAT. Now, granted, obviously Teddy Bridgewater is not those guys, pre-snap read, accuracy, et cetera, but you can win football games that way. You can win football games that way. EJ, good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Good to see you. US Dave's in the house. He's in. He says, morning fellows, morning fellow Bronco for breakfasters. I think that's it. The Breakfast Club. There we go. Jay Roper coming in here. Hello. Good to see you, Jay. We also have EJ's in the house. Teddy Two Gloves gives the Broncos the best chance to win games. Let's win some games. Honestly, I'm really hoping that we do win some games. The Broken Pirates over on Twitch. Hello to our Twitch listeners. Let's go, Teddy. You're the guy, and let's get it done. Amen. Let's hope it's good news here. Javonte Williams, yes. Royce Freeman, no. Coming in here over on YouTube. I wonder where he stands in the running back position. Damn, Bridgewater done did it. I'm sorry for Locke, though. Bridgewater must do good and take us to a Super Bowl. Oh man, if you're a Super Bowl or bust is your I guess threshold of your expectations this year, I'm a little bit worried for you and everybody. But hey man, get in the playoffs. Anything can happen. Tim Durr's in the house. Morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Good to see you. Ken Booker is in the house. Good morning. Teddy Bridgewater reminds me of 2016 Simeon. I hope he proves me wrong and throws 25 plus touchdowns. He should be better than Simeon, and also this roster is better than that 2016 team, in my opinion. And the big thing is, while I'm not the biggest believer in what I've seen so far with the offensive line, that 2016 offensive line was really bad. So hopefully it'll be better, and it's just a deeper team as well. Leroy Williams is in the house. Problem I have with the fan base is that they criticize Drew Lock since he has been here. The fans don't like him, but they wanted him to start. Why? I think you're talking about different fans there, buddy. I wouldn't lump them all together. Obviously, some people have been critical of Lock, but some people think he's, compare him constantly to John Elway or Peyton Manning or Josh Allen. There's different folks there. But let's get back into the chat here, or back into the conversation. So obviously, Drew Lock losing out to Teddy Bridgewater, big news. We're going to focus on that mostly today, unless Super Chats direct us a different way. But I want to focus more on Teddy Bridgewater. What does this mean for the Broncos week 1? What does it mean for the offense? What does it mean for Vic Fangio? And just in general, the weapons. I mean, there's ramifications here beyond, Drew Lock losing the gig here.
One of the comments I saw was, one of the talking points last night was this is purely a Vic Fangio trying to save his skin job. He's coaching for his job. This is what he wants to do to win. One of my questions is, if he thinks Teddy Bridgewater gives you the best chance to win right now, don't you want him to go that way? Maybe not. Maybe you think that towards the end of the season, as it gets, you're gonna need Drew Lock. I don't know, but 2, who else thinks win now? Players.
Yeah,
players think win now. They don't give a damn about building for the future. You don't hear them ever say. You never hear general managers, personnel people say rebuild. They don't say it because they'll lose a team right away. Do you not think the players would have a revolt if they didn't believe in Teddy Bridgewater here?
Yeah.
I think they were fairly comfortable with either guy going in, at least publicly speaking. Mm-hmm. But I think the players are going to be pretty comfortable playing with Teddy Bridgewater under the helm.
If you guys are fantasy football listeners, dynasty, whatever, buy all the stock in Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, maybe even Noah Fant too, because while Drew Lock is probably, going to make some more explosive plays down the field, and maybe this is – I was already trending down on Cortland Sutton given the injury, but Teddy's going to get these guys the ball in space, in time, right reads, so should be great. And Walter coming in here, higher ceiling. Why do we want Teddy? Well, what actually is a higher ceiling in this team? I keep coming back to basketball, but let's say you have a point guard who is surrounded by all pros, and this point guard's going down the floor and chucking up threes immediately before passing it to the superior talent around him. In this team, the way it's built right now, you just need to get the ball to the weapons. Now, is it going to be a top 5 offense? No, it wasn't going to be a top 5 offense with Drew either. Probably very, very likely. But if the quarterback can protect the football, get the ball to the right guys in time, and just let them do the work, make him look good, that should be more than enough with the way this team is built right now. So I
look at what he did with New Orleans as a starting quarterback, and I've got Teddy's year by year numbers up right now. He was 5-0. That's pretty good. 8 touchdowns in 5 games. Okay, might like to see a little bit more, but only 1 interception. So he was throwing 250 a game, 275 a game, touchdown and half a game, and not giving the ball away and winning. Won all the starts. 5-0 as a starter in New Orleans. This is going to be the best set of weapons, I think, that he's had in his career. Now, it's funny. I think it might have been somebody on here posted, and I apologize, I don't have your name, talking about getting down a couple of touchdowns and having to rely on him to bring you back. I tell you, when Teddy is at his best, put 4 wide out and let him call the plays at the line of scrimmage. Teddy is best in a 2-minute offense. Is moving guys down, playing against those defenses that give you a little bit. They say the only prevent you from winning. But Teddy's at his best in a 2-minute offense because he thinks so fast. He's got a quarterback brain, makes the right read, and gets the ball out in a hurry. That's when getting the ball out to a guy 7-8 yards at a time, get an out route, 12 yards first down on 3-4 seconds. That's when Teddy's at his best. So
yeah,
and that's how I explain it when he was coming up, because he doesn't look all that great compared to some of these guys, the way he throws the ball and stuff. And when he was in high school, someone said, "Just explain it to me, Scott. What are you watching?" I said, "Put him in a 2-minute drill, put 4 wide out, let him go to work. You'll see what I see." So he's at his best when he's moving fast and when time's of the essence.
Yeah. Did struggle there last year. But to be fair, and again, is it excuse or isn't it reason for the team or for Bridgewater struggling? But that was a pretty poor offensive line.
Carolina was terrible.
They were
terrible.
They had the youngest defense in football. I mean, the first team ever to use every single draft pick on the defensive side of the ball. And Joe Brady, I know he came in with a lot of hype, but that offense did not look very good. So
that was a little strange to me also. What has Joe Brady done for more than, a half a season to get all of that hype?
Everybody wants to find the next young offensive genius.
Everybody's looking for the next Sean McVay, but man, Sean McVay's a unicorn.
Yep.
He
also got his
that whole thing was he started getting mentioned with the Atlanta Falcons job. I'm like, no, God, no, he's 32 years old. He'll be calling Matt Ryan sir.
Yeah. Oh my God. Mr. Stern McLovin coming in. Good morning, fellas. Good to see you. Andrew Morrow's in the house as well. Good to see you, Andrew. And he says, if it'll come up, I swear to God, I'm clicking it. Okay. I don't know what's going on. He said that,
I think he froze a little bit. So there was also Travis has a comment here. I can't click on you. Travis Weber says, Scott, you also need to consider Sean Payton was calling plays when Teddy was a Saint. Not dissing Payton, but Shermer is no Payton. Well, that's not on Teddy. And Sean Payton is a hell of a football coach. He's kind of an ass, but that's okay. I don't need to love him. He's a really good football coach. And so, do you put a knock on Teddy because the offensive guy isn't that great? Does that make Drew Lock better somehow? That's an argument that doesn't necessarily wash with me. And in a 2-minute drill, there's a lot more reacting instead of planning. And like I said, that's when Teddy's allowed to run the show, he's pretty good. And like I said, he's going to have more weapons than I think he may have ever had. That Saints team's usually pretty loaded on offense, but he's going to have as many weapons with Denver as he's had in his career.
Yeah, that Saints team had a better offensive line. They were one of the best ones in football, but that's a big one there. Greg Smith in the house. Good morning, fellas. Breakfast time. There you go. We also have Travis coming in. Travis always very generous with the stars over on Facebook. Travis says, good morning, Nick and Scott. Moving forward, let's go get some wins. But just wanted to know as we move forward, what does this spell out for Drew? Hopefully we answered that a little bit earlier, but this isn't the end for Drew. It might be the end for his chances of being a franchise quarterback in Denver. I was already on that train thinking that was probably not likely given what we'd seen so far. But I think this is probably as close to a nail in a coffin for that as possible. But if Teddy gets hurt and Drew comes in and balls out and, this is like kind of the oh my gosh, well, I guess I wasn't good enough. I'm gonna have to work that much harder to be that guy. And it's something that clicks for him. That's there's a reality out there where that happens. So it's not over for Drew. And I want to give a shout out to Drew Lock for how incredible he was yesterday at the podium. A lot of grace, a lot of dignity in answering the reporters' questions and whatnot, and talking about his journey and what it means so far. So I understand why people are heartbroken, because he speaks so well. He seems like a genuinely good guy. But this is where we're at right now. Max Power coming in with a £2, saying, "Morning guys, which Giants cornerbacks match up on which wide receiver?" Well, now we're talking a little bit here. So obviously you have James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson.
We changed direction so fast on that one. Thank you, Max.
I think you'll see James Bradbury match up on whoever the X is. Is that going to be Cortland Sutton? Is that going to be Tim Patrick? We'll find out. Then you'll see Adoree Jackson match up on probably Jerry Jeudy, and then that'll leave Josh Jackson or Darnay Holmes for whoever's left. But I'm guessing the biggest one will be Bradbury on the X receiver.
Dory Jackson, good Juniper Serra kid. I think I saw him in Southern California when I was there.
Yep.
Hell of an athlete. Some good kids down there. Lots of supers coming in, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you. We got a lot to get to. On this, and I saw my comments about the offensive coordinator and that type of things. The OC matters. It does matter. But if you've got a bad OC, then your quarterback doesn't matter. So let's not worry about Teddy or Drew. If you've got a bad offensive coordinator, you're in trouble. Period.
Yeah, absolutely. Victor Rios in the house. Alvin Thomas is in the house. Travis, I believe this is stars here. It's good to see Brent Weber's in the house. Can't wait to see some dubs. Same Brent, dub. Weber for W, Shane Daniels, Mo Ron is in the house. It's good to see. It's good to see people. Andrew Lampy also probably coming in here with some stars, and good morning. Not going to bash Teddy, and he has all my support, but Fangio can back to Chicago hopefully sooner rather than later. Can we win a Super Bowl and still fire the coach? I don't know if that's ever happened, but it's possible. The thing is, if you fire Fangio, maybe he's not the best head coach, but you are definitely giving up probably one of the best schematic defenses in football, and that's not enough to get it done. But you hope that Fangio gets it. Also, for the Broncos' sake right now, with no owner and whatnot, you don't want to have to be paying Fangio on top of another coach. So, we'll see what happens there. But I don't think that's going to happen.
There's always more money. This is the NFL. When NFL teams start talking about losses, they mean losses from their profits. We only made $100 million this year instead of $150 million, so we lost $50 million. And the press carries their water. It's kind of funny, actually. There's always money. There's always money if the move needs to be made.
Yeah, they could do it, but it might result in not doing some other things. John's in the house. Good morning, y'all. Feels like it's been forever since Broncos for breakfast. Well, it is the most important show of each day, right? That's what they say. I'm done.
Get your morning started right.
Gary Leeds Palmer says, to my favorite MHH pod, you guys rock. Gary, you rock. Love you. Thank you so much. Good to see Holden Adams is in the house. We need to get to some of these super chats that I'm scrolling down so I don't miss them. Sorry, guys, if we missed it. The chat has been popping here. Here we go. Richard coming in here with €5, saying,
"Yeah, you're figuring out the difference between the euro and the pound. If we haven't learned anything, it's my love of international football, learning the difference between the euro and the pound here. So thank you, Richard."
Coming in, I'd gamble on Locke might become the long-term quarterback, no matter how unlikely, but Teddy Bridgewater doesn't take us anywhere good in 2021, 2022, or 2023, guaranteed. Talking in some absolutes here, Richard. I'm not sure how I feel about that, given what we've seen about Bridgewater versus Locke historically. A lot of people think that positive progression happens. Linear growth is going to happen for quarterback every single year. You see them get that much better. But how much better has Patrick Mahomes gotten every year? It's not really the case. Not every single guy takes leaps and bound growth every year. So what do you have to say to Richard here? Obviously coming in.
One of the questions I had, and honestly, because as much as we've talked about Patrick Surtain, is if you didn't think Drew Lock could be the guy, did you really need to pass on a quarterback? Again, it goes back to, why do you make that move? Because you didn't believe in Mac Jones and Justin Fields. That's why you passed on them, not because I'm more convinced that's the reason than any hope put into Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. It's like, we don't want to make this mistake again. We can't use a top 10 pick on a guy who we don't believe in. That has to be the reason why they passed on those guys, because obviously if Teddy Bridgewater is your starter over Drew Lock, you still have questions at quarterback. You still have big questions at quarterback. So I've said at the top of the show, Richard, that I said it in April. If Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback and beats out Drew Lock, then you're probably drafting a guy in 2022 or going big time free agent trade acquisition. But you're looking for a new quarterback in 2022, and you'll have a new starter in 2023.
Yeah. Nope. I think that's one reason everybody's really upset. And also, we haven't even talked about it, but the bar for quarterback play in the AFC West is as high as anywhere in the country or anywhere in the NFL right now, with obviously Derek Carr, a top 12 quarterback, Justin Herbert, a ascending superstar, maybe even, and then Patrick Mahomes, the face of the NFL right now. So it's
meanwhile,
rough.
take a look at the NFC South. Let's take a look at the NFC South. I got Sam Darnold at Carolina. I got Tom Brady. He may play till he's 90. Who knows? In Tampa. And who the hell do we have in New Orleans? And then I got a 36-year-old, Matt Ryan in Atlanta. So,
future Denver Bronco, Matt Ryan.
we can hit on that a little bit. I think it was Tim Durr had a question about his cap hit that I can address to if we circle back.
For sure. Jetty Splash is coming in here with $5 over on YouTube. Looks like I got a nice little picture of a sandpiper there. Cute little bird. T or F. Teddy Bridgewater scrambles to make plays while the DL only runs for his life when threatened. I really don't know, but it looks that way. Byron. I think that both of them will make plays, but I'm only going off of last year for Drew Lock. Drew Lock, a lot of times if his first read wasn't there, he would kind of panic and then try to escape the pocket. Now, it did not look like that in the very small sample size against backups in preseason, but he looked like he was hanging in the pocket better. That's growth. They're talking about it this season, so that's great. But I do think that Teddy Bridgewater is more methodical with his scrambling, and he will, if he sees something there, if his reads aren't there and he sees, he can pick up 5 yards, he'll do that.
When we talk about mobility, we usually talk about runners, and that's not the right way to look at it. If you want to see who's going to be the most effective, look at guys who are mobile within the pocket. Shuffle 3 yards, shuffle wide, come back in and out, and they're able to navigate that traffic within the pocket and have good mobility. You saw the best of all time that was able to do it in Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning can't run anywhere, but he could navigate. He had good footwork and could navigate a pocket and have good mobility. Teddy Bridgewater at one point in his career was a phenomenal runner, but he still has good enough feet in order to navigate the pocket and keep his eyes downfield. The guys that are the most effective with their mobility are the ones that run to set up a throw instead of just run to run. A broken play is no basis for an offense. A guy that can extend a play and make a play downfield is going to be very effective. And I think we saw a little bit more of that from Drew in the preseason, and that's part of the progression, but maybe he's not quite there yet, which is what we're looking for.
I mean, you've seen it with
thanks, Jetty.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we've seen it with, to your point, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. They use their
Aaron's a freak. Aaron Rodgers is a freak. The first time, I feel like one of his breakout games was a divisional playoff game against the Falcons the year before they played. The Falcons were 12-4, number one pick down in Atlanta. Packers didn't punt. They hung 50 on the Falcons. What'd they do? They traded 5 picks away and drafted a wide receiver. That's a different conversation. But Aaron Rodgers was making throws on the run that if you and I were playing Madden online, I'd be calling you a glitch. I'm like, you can't make those throws. Aaron Rodgers is a freak of nature. That what he can do on the run is unreal.
Yeah, and create explosive plays. Use the athleticism to buy time to create broken plays. That leads to those chunk yards. Franklin Peterson coming in with $10 over on YouTube, saying, in my humble opinion, any coach who compares Teddy to Tom in any facet of the game loses all credibility when it comes to choosing who should be the starting quarterback. Go Broncos.
Yeah, I don't want to compare anybody to Tom Brady. For me, it was like when I was doing recruiting and, every 5'11" white kid's dad in middle class suburbia comparing his son to Tom Brady, to Drew Brees. There's Drew Brees is 1 in a million, 10 million, 100 million at his size and the way he can throw the ball. And Tom Brady is one of the things that makes him so great is there doesn't look to be anything overly special about him except the results. He doesn't have a huge arm. He's not overly fast, but man, he gets the ball where it needs to be and he gets his team in the right position. He wins and he just always wins. So yeah, I don't see a whole lot of reason to compare people to Tom Brady either. Yeah,
I mean, an outlier, right? That's what it is. Mark Anthony coming in here with the $4.99 super over on YouTube. Thank you so much, Mark. He says, I was rooting for Drew but if he was it, he should have beat Teddy. I support Two Gloves and really hope the fan base gets less toxic. Time to win. And that's like everybody's talking about. You see what happened with Josh Allen in his third year. If Drew Lock made that Josh Allen third year leap, we would know right now. It wouldn't, the work, the progress, the growth would have happened in the offseason, and it would have come into training camp, and it would have been like, whoa, this guy is killing it.
And it's okay to be upset for Drew and still support Teddy. That's fine. Teddy is an extremely likable guy to have on your team. Hating on Teddy Bridgewater for who he is would be like hating on Warwick Dunn, who builds houses for homeless people. I mean, he's a wonderful human being. He's a Denver Bronco. He's easy to support. You don't have to be happy with the decision. That's something completely different. But Teddy Bridgewater is an easy man to root for on your football team. I promise you.
Yeah, and if he was like somebody like Tyreek Hill out there and he beat out Drew Lock, I'd be upset about it. Like that wouldn't be great. I mean, but
Chad Kelly, there's guys you just don't, like, oh, man, I don't want to root for this guy. He's an ass.
Scott, I'm glad you were not here for the Chad Kelly era of covering the Broncos.
I might have been able to put some levity in it because, like I told you before, Chad Kelly was one of those guys that we voted most likely to get his ass kicked by his teammates coming out of high school. He was bad news.
Yeah. Trevor Sandoval coming in here. Good morning, fellas. Good to see you, Trevor. Also, Mark put a addendum on his Super Saiyan. I forgot to say my super. Y'all the best pod ever. Best cure for grogginess and hangovers. Well, as long as I think that might be the coffee. There might be some confounding variables in there, but we appreciate you, Mark. That's really nice of you to say.
And I say it's you. It's you guys. It's all of y'all that get me going in the morning, man. At 9:15, I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm not ready. I'm not sure if I'm ready to do this. And then once we get going, man, I love Broncos for breakfast. So it's y'all to help me get going in the morning for sure.
Scott Squires coming in with the stars, I believe, here. So thank you very much, Scott. Good to see you. J Ross 777 coming in, $4.99 super over on YouTube. J Ross says, what would you consider a successful season with Bridgewater at the helm? Me personally, it would be making the playoffs and having at least one playoff win. I mean, I think you took my answer there, J Ross. That's probably about it. Honestly, for me, it's let's get above 500. Let's get double-digit wins. That's number one. And let's if you match up and lose a playoff game and it's a close one, but you got double-digit wins, that's going to happen. You're probably not winning the division. Probably was not winning the division with any of the quarterbacks that you have. So Teddy or Drew, whatever, doesn't matter there. And getting one playoff win, that would be great. Not a guarantee. But just get in. Double-digit wins, get in the playoffs, and after that, one game at a time, we'll go as far as we go.
I think when we went through our schedule projections when the schedule first came out, I think I had 11-6. That sound about right? 11-6, maybe. I don't think I went as high as 12-5, but I think I went 11-6. That should get you in the playoffs. 11-6 in the playoffs, and then who knows? Then you just never know. The way this defense plays. You protect the ball, run the ball, play some defense, get it. Then I'll take my chances with this team. This is gonna be a good football team.
Yeah, it is. It should be a really good football team. Now, is this going to Teddy Bridgewater and winning with a stacked young rookie contract offense and a great defense a sustainable model of winning? No, we know that. Defenses tend to, regress to the mean pretty quickly because it's dependent on depth and guys be not injured and whatnot. We'll see the Broncos regress defensively probably next year. But you hopefully see some growth from the quarterback position. And right now we're focused on 2021, and this team has a chance to be as good as any team the Broncos have had since they won the Super Bowl. So
Bardo must be about my age because I remember the drive. I was born in Akron, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. And all my family was there, so we were all watching. And that one didn't hurt as bad as the fumble. The fumble was like, are you kidding? It's like there was a sense of inevitability with John Elway on the drive. You just kind of knew you're Cleveland Browns. I mean, come on. It's like it's the only thing worse. Being a Falcons fan and being a Cleveland-born Atlanta fan, you're pretty cynical. You don't expect much. So I grew up, and then the next year, the fumble with Ernest Biner was you've got to be kidding me. That one was even tougher. The drive, you could see that coming, And again, that wasn't big plays. That was John Elway, just 10 yards a pop, 12 yards here, 15 yards here, and then boom, score.
Matriculate the ball down the field, right? That was the late and great Hank Stram, I think.
That ball started on the 3. I mean, it was a
2.
Yeah, I mean, I was just inside the 5 is what I remember.
Yeah.
It was tight. That was definitely the drive. That there was no hype about that one. That one counts.
Absolutely. Bardo, though, $5 super saying, hey guys, I've been a Broncos fan since the drive. Love your show. I'm just praying for a great season. I think Drew still has a chance in the NFL. All the above. Good comment, Bardo. You're hit the nail on the head. I agree with everything you had to say there. Let me see. We got some more supers coming in here. Scrolling.
I'm sensing a pattern from Jeremy. Jeremy Sean is I don't think he's all that happy with the decision.
He's just ready
I think
for.
If I did a control F on check down, Jeremy had come up about 50 times. So, yeah, I think Jeremy, we love you. And yeah, I think you'll be pleasantly if you set your expectations that low, there's only one way to go is up. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised in the effectiveness that Teddy Bridgewater can run this offense.
Yeah, and Keith coming in here saying, I truly hope the Lock talk disappears as quickly as the Lindsey talk. Move forward. I feel what you're saying here, Keith, but Lindsey went on and signed a contract with a new team. Locke is still here, so probably not going away until either Locke is on a different team or Bridgewater's just so good and this offense is so good that people are like, oh, like maybe we'll see what Locke can do next year moving on, but we're happy with where we are right now. That's the dream, right? That's what you're hoping for. John D. Herrera coming in here saying, do you think they demote Fangio to D coach instead of firing him? Just feel like we need a coach who is good on both sides of the ball. Has that ever happened?
Guys don't take demotions. They take their payouts and they go get a new job.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't take demotions. That doesn't happen. If he is removed as head coach, he will no longer be a Denver Bronco.
That would totally change like the power dynamics and stuff too of the team. I don't think that's
well. A new guy coming in doesn't want somebody looking over their shoulder. I mean, that's doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The only time that has ever happened is if you have an interim head coach. Maybe he stays on as a coordinator, as an assistant, something like that, as a placeholder, but not a full-time head coach. They don't take demotions. They might take a demotion to another team, but not within an organization. We've seen guys that are fired head coaches end up becoming coordinators somewhere else, but not the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. And Phoebe's got a question here for you. Good morning, Phoebe. Says, my ex is from England and he taught me to love England soccer. Is that my favorite London team stadium, Stamford Bridge?
It is. I took this picture in December or late November of 2019 before lockdown. I took my dad over to Stamford Bridge in London, and I'm a big Chelsea fan. When our football turned into work, and you can't really be as big a fan, or you just stop being as big a fan because you're working on things and you're trying to. It becomes a job. I poured my fandom into international football, and it's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Thank you for the comment, and go Chelsea. Gears Gains Games coming in with a $2 super over on YouTube. Good morning, fellas. Go Broncos. Thank you very much, Gears Gains Games. That's a tongue twister if I ever saw one, but God bless. Andrew Baker also coming in with looks like the stars here. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew's always very, very supportive and helpful. Also said here, morning guys, enjoying coffee in Omaha this morning, but heading home soon. Denver Broncos for life. At least the QB drama is settled for now. It's kind of like a fire when you put it out, right? Like Vic Fangio yesterday put a big old bucket of water on the fire, but there's still some embers in there. And if you leave it sitting there, or don't tend to it, or make sure that it's safe, you could see some sparks, some flames raise back up. So it's settled for now. But the key word, the operative
first
word,
3 and out, you're going to hear it again. It's not calm. It's anything but calm. It's I think that was a good analogy. It's smoldering under there. All it's going to take is just a couple of sticks, and it's going to go poof. But we've said that all year. We've said that for months on this show, that this quarterback talk doesn't end. It's not going to end.
Nope.
The first time that either of these quarterbacks goes out there and struggles, it's going to crank right back up again. And we said at the top of the show, this isn't the end for Drew Lock. It's not. So it'd be interesting to see, what does he want to do? Does he want to push for a trade? Is that something that he wants to do, is say, listen, if I'm not going to be the starter here, you're going to take this guy who finished 22nd, and has been all over the place. And then, maybe I'd be better off somewhere else. What does he want to do? He's got 2 years left on his contract. That could be the next question too.
Yeah, absolutely. Trevor coming in here saying, Nick and Scott, what's next for Drew? Trade? What do you say? And I was actually talking with somebody about this yesterday. I can't remember who it was. But there's no reason to trade Drew. You have a 2 years of control guy who has solid experience in the NFL, and a quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater who's had injury history, and a coach who's on a hot seat. Unless somebody's offering me like a 4th round pick and like 2023, I was going to say more on top of that, like a 4th round pick and then like a 2023 5th or a conditional pick that could be like a 4th or 5th. Like
it's got to be more than that, because you can't get a backup quarterback for a 4th and a 5th round. Now you've got at worst, a really good backup quarterback for 2 years. Cheap.
Yeah, and cheap too.
You know, his cash money is about $1.5 million over the next 2 years. His cap hits $2 million. He's cheap. Yeah. You're gonna at worst case, you've got one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league for 2 years.
Yeah. In
order to pry him away from me, you're looking at minimum a 2nd round. You're talking about guys that, you know, when you start seeing some of these deals that go out there, you know, what did the Jets give up for Sam Darnold, who was on a massive contract? The Carolina Panthers are going to pay $40 million to. You know, and I still think they got a 2nd round for him.
Yeah.
You know, this is a guy who's every bit as good as Sam Darnold, and for 10% of the money. You better send me more than a 4th and a conditional 5th. If you're going to take him off of my team, I'd rather have him, unless he pushes for a trade, unless he's saying, you know, his head goes down, his shoulders go down, and he becomes a prop. But I don't see that happening with Drew.
There's just some mystique around Sam Darnold in the league that he was going to get more because of that 3rd overall pick.
That usually brushes off after the 2nd deal.
Team, yeah.
You know, look at Josh Rosen.
Yep.
The Dolphins sent a number 1 for Josh Rosen. Now was it a 2?
Yeah.
I thought they sent him a 1. Okay, but it was a 2. Again, at least a 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, still, and he was on a lot more money than Locke is. Now you're getting him off waiver wire. You know, after the 2nd move, now you're picking him up off of waivers. So you know, this is Sam Darnold's last crack at it in Carolina before he starts becoming a cheap journeyman.
Yep, I agree with you. I think I'd ask for a 3, but if somebody offered me some and also the way I'm looking at the quarterback class right now, if I'm in charge of a team, I am accumulating 2023 picks like crazy. 2022, not for me. 2023 looks like it's going to have some good quarterbacks. So that's where I'm looking right now. And if I can get extra picks for 2023 versus 2022, I know delayed gratification there, but I would try to accumulate those instead of 2022 if I was in charge. But yeah, that you made the point. I don't think somebody will probably offer you like a 5th for Drew Lock, and you'd be like, okay, well, he has way more value on this team right here, right now, because everybody's on the hot seat. Like a lot of teams, if your quarterback goes down, your season is sunk. You're done. You know, pack it up. We'll see you next year. That's not going to be the case for the Broncos, and that's really important for a team that has so many people that are on the hot seat. So unless, like you said, unless Drew comes out and demands a trade or like is toxic in the locker room, then, you know, you hold on to him, and you still have that in your back pocket where, you know, he does have that upside. He does have that youth. He has 2 years of control. And if, let's say this Broncos team falls off the rails, if Teddy Bridgewater struggles, Vic Fangio falls on that sword and George Payton fires him, then the next coach comes in and like, listen, we're going to give the kid a shot to see what happens the rest of the season. And we'll reevaluate from there. That could happen. So I don't think there's a reason to trade Drew Lock unless somebody offers you something that's substantial. I think asking for a 2, you wouldn't get much calls for, given the league perception of Drew Lock. But there's also a reason not to just give him up to give him up. Now
the way that he does end up get traded, you know, not that he's going to be, but let's just speak hypothetically. You know, you and I talked about this. I think that your site even ran it, Mile High Huddle even ran it, but you know, the Bleacher Report Gridiron, you know, they had that proposed trade for this year for 2 firsts and Drew Lock for Matt Ryan. Okay, that's financially impossible to happen this year because this year Matt Ryan would be a $60 million dead cap hit, and the Falcons can't afford that. They can't take on a $60 million dead cap number. So next year, after June 1st, that number could drop to 20, and it included 2 firsts and Drew Lock. Now, why you would trade Drew Lock then is because the other team needs a quarterback, and you've got one that can go and be a fill-in while they use those first-round picks in order to try and get their quarterback of the future. But as far as you're trading him for another draft pick, no, he's much more valuable as a player on your team as at worst a very good second round cheap backup quarterback. So, but that's the only way I could see it happen, and that could become feasible next year. I said Bleacher Report's crazy trade idea isn't so crazy if you fast forward a year, and the Broncos are out of the Aaron Rodgers race. Teddy Bridgewater is not the long-term, even the short-term answer to move this team towards a Super Bowl. Who else is out there? Well, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's a pretty good quarterback. And, if the Falcons are in the midst of their rebuild, they might be willing to make a move for him. But there's no way, it's impossible for that to happen this year.
Yeah, I would be okay with Matt Ryan for sure. I think not the most likely, but I think the Broncos will refocus themselves. Let's say Teddy struggles, and there's a chance. Poopy and Hippo coming in here saying, is there a chance that Teddy at 28 will be the quarterback for a while? I think a lot of it comes down to what his contract demands are as well. Like, I'm not looking to pay him what the Panthers paid him. He's somebody who I'd like to give him, a lower tier starter money. And then I'm like, listen, Teddy, you're getting paid still compared to normal people a good chunk of money, and we can build a good team around you. But I'm not looking to invest in you like the Panthers did. I don't see him as that level of quarterback. On the cheap, hell yes, sign me up. That you can build a good team around him then, and he can be the trailer, not the truck, right? The team around him can take him where you want to go.
Yeah, let's pretend he was picked up in an emergency and the Saints didn't have Drew Brees, and you extrapolate that 5-0 across the season, and let's say, and he's not going to go undefeated, but if he leads that team to a 12-4 record, and Drew Brees is gone, then you're bringing him back. He's gonna be there again. So he's gonna get his chance now. Say he goes 12-5, 11-6. I probably want to give him another shot. And he is only 28 years old. So we can win games. We can build some more pieces around him. And we can keep going with Teddy Bridgewater. We've got a playoff team with him. And then maybe we draft a quarterback, to maybe replace him in a year or so. But it's not as much of a panic move where we have to have a quarterback in 2023 because we've got a guy that we're winning a lot of football games with. So it's possible. But a lot of it depends on the record this year. You go out and throw a 12-5 up and a good playoff run under Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah, he can play quarterback for a few years at Denver for sure.
Yeah. And we got Sam King coming in here saying, really? Folks think the D plus Teddy is enough to get us in the playoffs? Surely you jest. Well, Sam, I got a few anecdotes for you. Blake Bortles and the Jaguars, Tyrod Taylor and the Bills, and Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears. If you have a good enough team around the quarterback and the quarterback isn't constantly shooting your team in the foot, and putting them in bad situations, that's enough to get you in the playoffs, especially, and the AFC West is so tough. Like, I'm not saying winning the division because obviously the Chiefs and Chargers are an ascending team with a great young quarterback. But there are 7 playoff spots now in each conference. So as long as Teddy isn't out there killing you on offense and you don't have a rash of injuries, that should be enough to get in the playoffs.
If you're hanging around 500, you're in the playoff race.
Yes.
We've seen teams under this format get into the playoffs with a losing record, which just kills me. I hate that. To me, it cheapens the regular season and makes so casuals only watch, playoffs. But that's a different conversation. But yeah, I think this team, again, we didn't know who was going to win the quarterback position, and you and I both came up with the same record. I'm pretty sure it was 11-6. I'm pretty sure we both said 11-6. You're even more cynical than me, so you may have said 10-7.
I said 9.
But 10-7 gets this team in the playoffs.
I think 9-8 good.
And the teams that you mentioned, you mentioned all defense, but did they have the offensive weapons that the Broncos are going to be able to throw out this year? No. A pair of really good running backs. No, the receiver core, we can list them again. At least one good tight end, maybe more. So, the weapons that they can go out there, it's just don't go out and lose this game quarterback. And we're going to be in every game we play. A couple of them fall our way. 2 of them fall your way. Instead of 8-8, now you're 9-8. Instead of 9-8, now you're 11-6. A couple of breaks.
Yep. Absolutely. We got Andy Cowick coming in with a $5 super over on YouTube. Teddy's a point guard surrounded by good yak weapons. Couple that with a great defense, and yes, I think there's a chance. And Andy, I think, has been listening to the show because that sounds familiar. I agree with you completely. You got KJ Hamler, you got Jerry Jeudy, you got Noah Fant, you got Melvin Gordon also, who's actually a pretty good receiver out of the backfield. I know that people are like, oh, the check down's bad. The check down means that the other stuff wasn't available or open, and you went to it. And as long as you're getting there in time, in space, and you can get the ball to the guy in the right spot, like throwing it, Yak is a quarterback stat. If you're getting the ball to the guy where he can do stuff after the catch with a head of steam, that can make an offense not only great for this team because of how good the defense is in playing complementary football, but those guys can take a 5-yard gain and make it 50 yards. I mean, Broncos country, how quickly do we forget the 2013 Broncos under Peyton Manning, all those bubble screens to Demaryius Thomas taking off like a goddamn horse 70 yards down the field from a little just horizontal pass, and he's gone. Like you can get easy yards that create explosive plays if you have the guys around you that can do that. And I think the Broncos do have those guys.
That's unfortunately how the Falcons use Julio Jones, which is why he was always so beat up. They'd use him as a running back, quick screen, and he'd have he'd get down at the end of a drive and have 6 catches for 70 yards, and then he'd be gassed on the sidelines and not get a touchdown. But yes, and again, there's multiple weapons. You can use 6 guys like that with underneath. But let's not kid ourselves. You get I always going to want to say his name right. You get Cortland Sutton up the line on a streak. It doesn't take a rocket arm to loft one down 40 yards and let him go up and get it. You don't want to do that over the middle, but when you're going to the sidelines, a fade route to stretch the defense, a streak up the sidelines is an easy throw for any NFL quarterback to get the ball downfield. If you get single coverage on a post route, all of these guys can can make that throw too. You don't need to you don't need to have a Brett Favre, John Elway arm to stretch a defense.
No, you don't.
Especially if the play action is working, especially if you got your running game going.
And that's something I want to get to as well at some point, is talking about the offensive line. Now that's like the biggest difference maker for me on this team. Like we know the quarterback that's set for right now, but the offensive line I feel like has the largest error bar and could really take this team one way or another depending on how they play. But I want to get to Jacob's comment here. Do we even know how good the defense is? All is speculation, but we haven't even started the season yet. We won't know until we know, Jacob. On paper, they look really good. And luckily they play 3 rookies or, unproven quarterbacks out of the gate, which will help them immensely early season. But, you hope that they're going to be top 5, should be top 5. You hope they're going to be top 3, but they could be, top 10. And that would not be good enough. In my opinion, that would probably not be good enough with Teddy Bridgewater in this season, because also I think the offensive line right now, the way it's looked, is probably going to be average. I was hoping for a top 12 offensive line. I think it's probably going to be more likely in that like 14 to 18 range. But how good is this defense? It better be good. And if it's not, also, this is another thing. If it's not, Vic Fangio's gone, right? Like you're bringing him in and he's having issues, right? Like lack of faith in the fan base with the head coach. He hasn't won a game in September yet. He hasn't had a top 3 defense yet. Now he has excuses. The Broncos were playing street safeties at cornerback last year to end the season. That's not even hyperbole. It's reality. But they invested heavily in the defense this year. They invested heavily in Vic Fangio. He has to go out there and put out a top 3 defense this year, or he's probably gone.
There's talent and depth and competition at virtually every position. And that's a good thing. Now it's up to your coaches to scheme. It's up to your offense to protect your defense a little bit. It doesn't matter how good your defense is if they're on the wrong side of 3 and outs and bad field position because of turnovers. And again, that helps play into why Teddy Bridgewater might be getting the nod, is to help protect that defense a little bit, moving the ball, field position, running game. It might not be the world's, it's not going to be the greatest show on turf by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what? One of my all-time favorite teams is the '92 Alabama Crimson Tide. If you watch those guys play defense and chew out running game and beat teams, it was pretty fun to watch. I appreciate that way, that line of playing. But so I'm looking. I like this style that is setting up for the Denver Broncos. I like running game. I like play action. I like good defenses. I like Von Miller and Bradley Chubb coming off the edge with their hair on fire. I like Patrick Surtain roaming in a free position to take advantage of panicked quarterbacks who are under fire. I can't wait. I can't wait for September 12th.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to get to Barack Nassi's comment here, saying the Broncos are happy with an 8-8 record. You mean probably 9-8 or 8-9, given the change in the schedule this year, 17 games. It seems every year. Get lazy in the draft when we should be swinging for the fences every year. We're passive when we need to be going hard. I feel like a lot of people right now are where I was after the Broncos passed on Justin Fields at the quarterback position, thinking like, oh man, we're going to be back here a year from now talking about the quarterback position. I had hope for Aaron Rodgers still then, but I have empathy for those fans right now that feel a little bit of despair for, the inevitability of the Broncos team at quarterback. But, focus on this year. Excited about the team right now. But I don't know if they're being that passive. I will say, though, that you do have a little bit of a push and pull when it comes to the goals of this team. With Vic Fangio, with a lot of this coaching staff, it seems like there's very much a 1 year focus right now, which is fine. And those guys are kind of going for their job, but that's not what you want from your general manager and the team's health as a whole. So it could be an issue down the line, but like I said, once Justin Fields is passed, and I know I've said 100 times on here, guys, I'm not over it yet. I say I'm over it. I'm not over it. But that's when I kind of shifted my focus to 2021, the best team possible in 2021. And hopefully everybody can get on board with that, because I think that's going to result in the most enjoyment and happiness for this team this year.
Well, I've been enjoying reading the comments too, and King of the North is a Minnesota Vikings fan that has found us. So welcome, because he's been very cordial and very supportive of Teddy Bridgewater, and kind of like me, King of the North, or should we just call you Jon Snow? Actually, who was it? It was
Rob.
I would say it was Rob. He didn't last very long. You might get Red Weddington here too. But I was a little worried. I was like, am I allowed to be happy with the reaction for Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Bridgewater's quarterback? But frankly, I was going to be happy with whoever the quarterback was, because I know that whoever wins a quarterback job, it meant that it was going to be a better. We're going to see better quarterback play from the Denver Broncos than we did last year. I guaranteed.
Yeah.
So again, I just went through it. I won't go through it all again. All the reasons why I'm excited to watch this team, and I'm looking forward to watching Teddy play for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely. And thank you very much, King of the North. Looks like he's rocking a Houston Oilers image there, though. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but thank you for coming in. Keith coming in saying, if we passed on Lance, I would have been upset. Wasn't sold on Fields. Sounds like the Broncos weren't sold on Fields also. So that's where we are. I also think that the Broncos thought that, I really do. This is the only thing that makes sense in my head. I think they might have taken Fields, but there was all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers stuff going on here. It's like, oh my God, wait a second. We can get Aaron Rodgers and our favorite defensive player in the draft, in Patrick Surtain II. Let's do that. I mean, Justin Fields might be great, but like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Surtain, God bless, we can win a Super Bowl this year with that. So that kind of changed, and I think that Aaron Rodgers is still a possibility for next year. If not, then you start to go down the list. I mean, I've seen somebody in here has been talking about options. Lil Yell 69. Here we go. He's mentioned a couple times here. Thoughts on big time quarterback trade in the offseason? Kyler, Jimmy G, Russ, maybe Minshew. There's also Kirk Cousins. There's Matt Ryan. There's Aaron Rodgers. I think Kyler Murray won't be traded. I would be interested, though, if he was available. Jimmy G, no thanks. Russell Wilson, I would love. I don't think he's interested in Denver. Minshew, I'd be okay with. I just don't think Minshew is I'm very afraid of Minshew with the cult of personality, because he's a very funny guy, and I don't think that his people like him for stuff outside of football, and I don't want that to be the case when it comes to the contract.
Sounds like you should have been a pitcher.
Yeah.
Yes. You win 20 in the show, and the press will call you colorful.
Yep. Yeah. It's
Jeremy gets that one. Jeremy always gets my movie references.
Okay, there, and also King of the North saying it's the Roughnecks, the XFL. So there you go. I thought that logo looked familiar. But and people talking about Teddy Bridgewater here. So, yeah, guys, we're up in an hour now. Unless any other super chats come in, we're probably going to start to wrap it up. But Teddy Bridgewater, starting quarterback for the Broncos, week 1. This isn't the end for Drew Lock in Denver right now. Maybe it is the end for Drew Lock as a franchise quarterback. I mean, we've seen Albert Breer, who is as connected as anyone in the NFL, saying that the Broncos are now a team probably looking at the quarterback market in 2022, along with the team like the Giants were a team like that. The Eagles were a team like that. The Lions were a team like that. So it's unfortunate in that regard, but this is a team that's ready to win right now. Teddy Bridgewater is in a great situation, and this team is going to have a lot of good wins and an easier schedule. So there's going to be good football, and there's going to be meaningful football after Halloween, which is something we haven't had in a while in Denver. So I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to not be cheering for the young guys to do good. And then like if the Broncos win, telling myself, well, it's okay. Higher draft pick. I'm tired of that. That's just me trying to make the best of a situation. I'm not here for it anymore. Not this season. This team's going to be fun. They're going to win some games.
Yeah, you just as soon trade those picks and have a really boring draft day because you traded your picks for a veteran that just won you, got you into the AFC Championship game. That's
Absolutely.
okay too.
Yep, absolutely. I'm with you 100%. But we'll see how it turns out. But guys, that's going to do it for us today on Broncos for Breakfast. You can follow Scott and myself on Twitter, Scott at Scout Kennedy, and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. You guys can follow us also on Twitter at Huddle Up Pod and excuse me, at Mile High Huddle.
We're running out of voice. We got to get going.
Too much coffee. No such thing. I need the IV next time. Maybe next time I'll just right behind me. But yeah, guys, follow us also on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. While you guys are there, make sure you click the thumbs up, the like reacts. We got Tim Durr with the wow, DeAndre Witherspoon with the care react, Damon Gilliand with the angry. I don't know if it's about Teddy Bridgewater there. But a bunch of other reacts here. So if you guys haven't done so yet on Facebook or YouTube, click the thumbs up. That helps us a bunch. If you guys are joining us on YouTube today, also subscribe, like, and share. Click that little bell. It should be in one of the corners there. I think that one right there. And if you guys do that, that can let you know when we go live. And that's really helpful when somebody, I won't name any names, but when somebody doesn't make the chat beforehand or the stream beforehand. So that way you're still going to get the notification when something goes live. That's something new going on, even if it wasn't made, except 5 minutes before the show goes live. While you guys are over on YouTube, also make sure you check out Scott's channel at youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. Obviously a lot of stuff going on there. He'll probably pull a few clips from this one today, just what he's interested in. And anything else new going on there right now?
I just got a bold prediction. Drew Lock is going to kill it this weekend. Kill it. He's going to have a monster game. And we're gonna have a lot more angst and some fire next Tuesday when we're back for Broncos for Breakfast.
Man, Scott, I'm really conflicted with that one. I'll just say I'm gonna tune out the noise. I'm gonna tune out the noise on that one, and I'm gonna be like, you know what, that's great. I want Drew Lock to kill it this weekend.
I got news for you. The talk about the quarterbacks, it ain't slowing down. It's not gonna slow down until, God forbid, there's an injury or someone owns this job. Otherwise, it's gonna keep going.
Yep, absolutely. Let's say hello to everybody coming in here. Refreshing show, beats the hell out of other free-for-alls and other chats. Glad you like it, Dave, but every show has different flavors. I'm just glad you guys can find a little safe haven here for some calmer voices prevail, right? Not feeding the rage machine today. Not today. Maybe sometimes, not today. DBA, did you miss it? Yep, you did. We're finishing up, but we'll see you later. EJ coming in. Great show, guys. Smash the thumbs up. Go Broncos. DBA also saying hello, goodbye, everyone. Have a good one. Go Broncos. Mike Woodward also coming in. I missed it. Damn, I'll like and leave. Thank you, guys. Be like Mike. We'll see you later.
And guys, I go back through the comments afterwards. So if there's a question, if you have a question about anything that we said or some clarification or something that sounded idiotic that I'd like to explain more, I go back through these comments if you're watching on demand. A lot of time, we had a bunch. The last show, there's like 50 comments in there. There wasn't much to respond to, but if you have something there, I go through them. So, I say a lot of stuff that can sound stupid. So let me explain myself why it sounds so stupid, at least.
Yeah, I find that tends to be the case for me on Twitter because I am not short-winded, and 140 characters just doesn't, or whatever, 240 characters just doesn't do it. Sometimes
that's okay. Even with the expanded 260, no one reads past 120 anyway.
I know. God damn it. I know. Keith coming in here with a really nice comment. Best pod I found. Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you, Keith. That's really, really nice. Jeremy Sean, thanks, guys. Great show. Kayleon Green, yo. Good to see you, Kayleon. Tim Durr, love the pod. Have a good day. You have a good day as well. Chris Beeston coming in. Good show as usual. Thanks, guys. Michael Ronquillo, good to see you, Michael. Great show today on Broncos for Breakfast. Go Broncos. CC, thanks, guys. Have a great day. Let me see. US Dave, that guy doesn't even get a shout out when it's mentioned. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, US Dave, but love you. Stay safe. And yeah, guys, I also want to give a shout out to everybody who contributed today. I'm sure we missed some of the stars, but I'll do the best I can. I think Travis Weber was in the house. Andrew Lampy was in the house. Gary Leeds Palmer was in the house. Thank you guys very much. Also, there was a Richard. Oh gosh, Scott, this is a German last name. I'm gonna butcher the hell out of this.
Richard, I got looks like Beisenkotter.
Richard Beisenkotter. I'll go with that. I see the
might be the long. The O might be long. Richard Beisenkotter.
Okay, let's go with that. I like it. Jetty Splash was in the house. Obviously, Travis Weber, Franklin Peterson, Mark Anthony, J Ross 77 came in twice. Bardo Tripper, John D. Herrera, Gears Gains Games, Andrew Baker, Andy Cowick. Thank you guys so much for coming in today and supporting us, supporting the show. Obviously, like I've said many times, we weren't sure. Also, Trevor Sandoval, I think, or Sandal came in with the Superstars as well. But like we said, we weren't sure if how viable a morning show would be with everything going on. But you guys have been, the response has been resounding. You guys have been super supportive, and we're going to keep the ball rolling here as long as you guys are, giving it that push for that forward momentum. So
what a big day on Tuesday. The show on Tuesday matched was pretty close to the evening show, which I think is, as far as overall views on YouTube, which has got to be encouraging. I'm encouraged by it. But again, I set my expectations really low so that there's only upside.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, we love y'all guys.